Well, U.S. and Russia interest in Syria. What's the deal? And their deal is, to put it succinctly, is a pipeline. Um, Assad doesn't want to build a pipeline through Syria, which would go through basically Qatar, come up through here, through Iraq, Syria, Turkey, and into Europe, right? That would, something like that. And what that would do, Qatar's got loads of oil. The only problem is it's got to ship it by tanker, and that drives up the cost. Why Russia doesn't want this to happen is because Russia already has all these pipelines going into Europe from Gazprom. That's how they make most of their money. Most of their money, Russia makes 60% of its export money is on the export of oil and gas. Natural gas is more of it. So without the, if you knock out the need for Russian gas, Russia's going to go broke. So they have a very strong interest in keeping Assad in power because they don't want the pipeline. Assad's going to block the pipeline, and they don't want this pipeline to be built. So that's basically it. The other side of it is, I think, and it just, not that I read this anywhere, but it's common sense. You know what goes on in the Middle East? Anytime they sell oil, at least the ones that are allied with the U.S. petrodollar, anytime they sell oil, they invest in U.S. Treasury notes, right? They buy the U.S. debt. What would Qatar do with the money from selling lots more oil to Europe? They'd buy up the U.S. debt. So there's the U.S. financial interest. And looks like we're going to go to war with this eventually. That's really what the crux of the deal is. It's all economic, 100%. Despite them telling you about the weapons of chemical weapons or whatever Assad's doing. Assad's no saint, but neither was Gaddafi. But compared to what happened after Gaddafi, you know what happened to that country in Libya. And actually Saddam Hussein was a pretty damn bad guy, but it got a lot worse after Saddam Hussein was gone, right? So you could say the same thing about Assad. If he wasn't there, it would probably be a lot worse. He's kind of like the secular leader of Syria. He's not that super duper religious. So Russia is not going to let Assad get toppled. No way, no how. Because their entire economy depends upon it. In other words, if this pipeline is built, Qatar, which has loads of oil, the big problem is it's jacking up the cost of their oil is shipping it by tanker. They got a pipeline, they're going to be lowballing the Russian oil prices, and Europe's going to be buying oil from Russia. And then on top of it, Qatar, I assume, is going to be investing in U.S. Treasury notes with the money and proceeds and profits that they got. And Russia is going to go broke. So that's, that's what's going on. Now, as far as Iran, right now, I know they've been getting away from investing in dollars and bypassing dollars, but now they're totally on with the euro. So, you know what happened with Iraq when they started investing in, oil proceeds in euros exclusively? We went to war with them. So, and actually, I think Saddam Hussein was actually dead before we went to war with Iraq in 2003. I think the policy, it's my conjecture, because I know he was having some kind of serious operations where he had to go to Italy, and he's got so many doubles that you would never know if this guy died or not. I think the sons were the ones that actually changed the policy. I don't think Saddam was stupid enough to change the policy. Well, that's what caused the war with Iraq in 2003, where, they knocked out the entire regime. But basically, it's over keeping the petrodollar afloat. Qatar selling lots more oil to Europe and taking all the business away from Russia would mean that that would be another nation that would be taking all the profits from all those oil sales and investing them in U.S. dollars, which would keep the dollar afloat longer. And conversely, that would destroy the Russian economy completely. I don't know. I forgot what I have read this a while ago. I don't remember it all off the top of my head. I know 60% of their exports, hard cash, comes from the sale of oil. But it's not just oil that you're selling. There's Europe, but it's also natural gas. It's like Gazprom's got all these gas lines going through there. You know, basically they got Europe by the cojones, basically, man. You know, I don't know why they can't just build a pipeline some other way. Like, I don't know, maybe it's too mountainous up here in Iraq. Going through this area where it meets Turkey. Maybe they can't build a pipeline that easily through there, or maybe it's just too many different factions that are in that area. I don't know. Not 100, but this is really the crux of the whole problem right there. No matter what they're telling you on the outside. And if Hillary Clinton won the election, we'd already be in World War III. I'm not sure what Donald Trump's policies are, and I'm not sure what the overall policies are in the Middle East. I know it's to keep the petrodollar afloat. I know that, obviously, but I really don't know exactly what the overall policies are in the Middle East. They don't seem to make sense to me most of the time. And I know, as a side note, Iran has people in Syria that are, terrorists that are going after Israel. So that is also another reason for striking certain targets in Syria too, not just the pipeline. So it's not that super complicated when you break it down into the most basic elements and you throw away all the garbage reasons they're throwing out there, why we're in Syria, what we're doing, and chemicals of mass destruction, whatever. Hey, you look back in 1993 in Texas, Waco, they killed more people with chemical weapons, basically, via Janet Reno, than supposedly Assad did, which I don't think he did. I think there was something else that was going on here. That happened here in Syria. So, I don't know. I can't tell you what the future is, but this does not bode well. Every single war pretty much has always been over economics or something related to that. It's always over money. It looks like on one side, the USA wants Qatar to have the pipeline so Qatar can invest, take all the business from Russia and then take the proceeds from the business they got selling oil to Europe and invest them in U.S. dollars and keep the petrodollar afloat many more years. That's the one side. The other side is Russia doesn't want this pipeline to be built because it's going to totally destroy their main export. I mean, Russia's basically one big, that's mainly what they export. They don't export, and I mean, they got some technology. They sell a little bit of this and that, but mainly they sell oil and natural gas. Kind of like a big gas station in some ways, and their biggest customer is Europe with all these pipelines. So what's going to happen? Don't look good. I can tell you that right now. That's all I got to say. It don't look good. Neither party wants to go to World War III, but you never know. It could start that way. It could lead up to this. And just like everything, it's usually over economics. So just kind of breaking it down into the simplest terms. And this channel is called American Russian Survival. I want both America and Russia to survive and thrive and work together. Kind of a pipe dream. I don't think that's going to happen. I guess the only real deal is, I guess we wouldn't need the damn petrodollar so much if we didn't have this over-bloated welfare state and military-industrial complex. We don't really need the petrodollar to keep manufacturing here at home and keep jobs here at home. People make their own wealth, right? That's the way I look at it. It's petrodollar is really just benefiting the elite over in the United States. So It's not really in America's interest. The petrodollar is really in the elitist interest. And conversely, you can also say that the sale of oil and natural gas is really in the oligarchs' interest in Russia. Pretty screwed up situation, man. I don't know what you can do about it, but that's the two different sides and how they're being, you know, and how this game, why this game is really being played. Everything else you hear in the news is BS. Russia doesn't want that pipeline built because it'll take all their business away from Europe, which is is like their biggest customer. They got all these pipelines going across Europe left and right, and they sell them natural gas and oil. USA wants the pipeline built because Qatar has got a big glut of oil, and they buy U.S. weapons with the proceeds. They'll have more money to buy U.S. weapons, plus they're going to invest in U.S. debt, treasury notes, and all that, U.S. dollar, which will keep the petrodollar afloat longer. So that's the game. What's going to happen? I don't know. It kind of doesn't look like the end result is going to change, even though Donald Trump got elected, because it looks like the military-industrial complex pretty much owns this guy one way or the other. And, you know, the people that are the real power in this country that are, you know, behind the petrodollar, Donald Trump's not bigger than those guys, they got their interests. When's this all going to come to a head? I don't know. I personally, if I took a guess, I think the early 2020s, if I took a guess. I don't think so. You know, if Hillary Clinton got elected, there'd already be stuff starting already, for crying out loud. So, you know, one good thing with Trump, at least it's going to stave off the inevitable for some years. And I do think it's inevitable. We're probably going to, I don't want a conflict between the U.S. and Russia. It just looks like it's going to happen. You know, that's one reason I opened up this channel, American Russian Survival. I think America and Russia ought to work together on everything. Everything. But, you know, I think you ought to be joined at the hip like strategic partners to the max. That's the way I look at it. But I'm not running the show, so what can I do about it, man? I can't do nothing about it. Sorry. Over and out.